Ladies and gentlemen, here we are again, back with another Drake's Corner sports podcast, baby. And we are a day late, which I apologize for, but it took a second for me to, somewhat get my ducks in a row for this jam-packed episode. We are in the midst of pretty much the NFL season. NBA is getting rolling. There's some drama there I'd like to talk about. I got another Fab 5 betting odds to look at here today in the main event of the show, NFL Power Rankings. We're gonna jump right in. So there's been kind of a debate among the NFL between turf fields and grass fields. Okay, and it's surprising to me because turf fields were the holy grail to play on back in high school. Okay, when you got to play on a turf field, that was like, okay, this is special, this is cool. It probably won't happen again for us who aren't, certified college athletes such as myself. I peaked, but I wasn't there per se. But to be on a turf field, it was somewhat of a pleasure. You don't get to do it often. And from experience, turf fields were, you feel lighter. There's less stuff in your way to, you get to run, freely a bit more. And that's what I felt like playing on a turf field back in the day. But it seems like the consensus among the NFL right now between star players, and, it's become a debate between owners and players, is that they want grass fields rather than turf fields. And it hasn't become a problem prior. I don't know if it was a voiced opinion before that grass fields were wanted among players, but it all boils down to injuries and non-contact injuries. Incidents of ACL tears, for example, are higher, while concussions are way down since 2015. I think the safety measures that's being, amplified around the NFL for concussions are a reason for the, pipe down in concussions, but it's still an issue. But the incidence of ACL tears, for example, non-contact injury, they're way up since 2015. It seems like the number is jumping up each year if you go take a look at the data. A quote from Aaron Rodgers, he said, it's time to go to all grass throughout the league. I think you would see less of these non-contact injuries that we see on some of the surfaces, and I think that it'd be a good step in the right direction towards player safety to make the requirement for every field to be grass. I guess these turf fields kind of, there's less cushion. I don't understand the whole logistics behind it, but turf fields never have seemed to be a problem in the past. And, in high school, it was just like a pleasure to play on. And it's surprising to see, players wanting this all grass thing. It kind of seems like backyard football when you think of a grass field. But I guess, with I don't know if turf fields and, in total explain ACL tears being up or, non-contact injuries being up, for example. But it's surprising to see, turf fields have always been wanted throughout the league, and sorry, my cat's getting in the way. And it's like I've never, turf fields have just been such a high on the list thing as a high school sports athlete, and the all grass. It's just surprising to me. Would you guys like to see all grass fields? The NFL. I think turf is just kind of like a put for show thing. Obviously, turf looks better. All grass, it doesn't look as, museum-esque, per se. Museum-esque, like, touristy. I'd say turf is more touristy, and, these non-contact injuries, I guess it explains it. They keep going up since 2015, and I guess these players want all grass. Interesting. It's very interesting, to say the least, just from how I've looked at turf, every person's perspective of turf, if you're not a professional athlete per se. And crazy stuff. Anyway, my next segment, NFL, my top 3 MVP candidates. We're going to start off with number 3, the lowest. Tua Tagovailoa, number 3. Surprising to see. I don't know if it's insanely surprising considering the receiving core that he's got with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tua's 7-0 as a starter. He's playing out of his mind. There was a little, worry about his concussion early on, but he seems fine. He's playing great. The Dolphins look like an offensive powerhouse heading into, the latter part of the regular season. And Tua's 7-0 as a starter. I think that proves his value a lot. And, I don't think he's fully proven yet. Anybody with those two receivers, Waddle and Tyreek Hill, I'd hope they succeed. But Tua, undefeated as a starter, playing a full, 60 minutes of football. It's, that's very impressive, especially in that division with, a defensive-heavy Patriots. Jets are playing well, and, obviously the Bills, one of the top teams in the AFC. Number 2, I got Patrick Mahomes here. He's dwindling between 1 and 2, but I got him at number 2 right now. Playing great without Tyreek Hill. I think that just proves his value even more. And when we talk about NFL MVP, I always think value. If you take this player off this team, where are they? And I think Mahomes is obviously the most talented quarterback in the NFL. The record is proving it. He basically doesn't have a running back right now in the slightest, and he's making plays on his legs. They're at a point where their offense, there's little room for improvement. Now, almost everything is perfect. The Titans made a great push against them, but he still found a way to push through, take down one of the top-heavy defenses in the league. And, the Chiefs right now are rolling, and they're probably the favorites right now in the AFC. Number 1, I got Jalen Hurts. If you take a look last year at the Eagles' record, you can tell they were in the rebuilding stage, but they snuck into the playoffs. They didn't really have a chance against the Buccaneers. But if you look at Jalen Hurts all around as a player, he barely makes mistakes at this point. He's led them to an 8-1 record. They were due for a loss here eventually, but we'll get into that later. But Jalen Hurts right now is my number 1 for MVP. Take him off the Eagles. It's a weird concept because his rushing is insane. He's got a decent amount of rushing touchdowns on the season, and just 8-1. I think the record just pushes him to that number 1 spot for me, at least. I like him there a lot. I think he was a dark horse MVP candidate before the season started, and here he is playing amazing on one of the most balanced teams in the league. They picked up A.J. Brown, and I think that helped him out a lot heading into this season. And we are going to jump over to the NBA. Kevin Durant is in the midst of drama once again. He re-amplifies his trade request, kind of stating, how am I supposed to win with these guys? And first thing that came up to question in my mind, okay, has Kevin Durant in his longevity, illustrious career, has he ever, been the leader of a team? Like think of it. Thunder. If you ask any Thunder fan, I think when Westbrook and Kevin Durant were on the same squad, they would agree that Russell Westbrook was the heart and soul of OKC. I think he was the vocal locker room leader. He was the preface of toughness that they brought to the table. And I think Russell Westbrook, through the time that Kevin Durant, when that dynamic duo was together, I think Russell Westbrook was the, proprietor of toughness, heart, soul that brought to the city of Oklahoma City per se. And I think that, that's what, when they looked at what brought them to the finals against the Heat, almost taking down the Warriors, I think Russell Westbrook was the heart and soul of that. You jump to the Warriors. Obviously, that's Stephen Curry's team. That's Stephen Curry's franchise. We all know it. Jumping over to the Nets, who do you have? You got Kyrie. Obviously has leadership struggles. Couldn't do it with the Celtics, really. Wanted out of the Cavs for that reason. He couldn't do it on the Celtics. He hasn't done it since. James Harden clearly didn't work out in the slightest. Ben Simmons, we know, definitely not a leader. And now Kevin Durant is kind of freaking out without all of those stars that he's once had, and he's basically calling out the starting lineup and say, you expect me to win with these guys? And it's crazy because you don't see that from guys like LeBron. LeBron just does it. He did it before. We can talk about the Lakers and how bad they are, but when LeBron was in his 32, 33, he was leading Cavalier teams who had no chance into the playoffs. And now I think Kevin Durant's leadership skills are in question. He kind of spoke on the subject of his trade request and said, hey, this is why I did it. The blame comes to me because of how bad we're doing. And then he proceeds to name players on his starting lineup. I think that affects his legacy a lot. And I think that's why, Bron's ahead of him on most all-time lists. Kevin Durant, obviously one of the greatest one-on-one scorers of all time. But, the leadership skills have come in question, and I just think throughout his career, we've never seen a top leadership quality from Durant. And, it shows here. It shows when he's put in a group with not the best talent. And I think, throughout his career, he's obviously had someone else with him. In the Thunder, being Westbrook and Harden. Obviously, when he went to the Warriors, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, the greatest on-paper team of all time. And now with the Nets, he failed to do it with Kyrie and James Harden. And now he's left without James Harden. He's got Ben Simmons, who's obviously taken a step down, and Kyrie, who's suspended. So he's stuck right now. And I don't think he's ever been stuck like this before. And it just brings his integrity into question and, kind of affects what I perceive him as one of the best players of all time into, not one of the best leaders of all time. So, it kind of brings that, where your leadership and talent kind of coincide together, what makes you a great player. And Kevin Durant, kind of falling apart here with Brooklyn. And I think, he's got the Sixers wanting to make a trade for him. And, it's his leadership skills. It just comes down to that period, and it's showing right here with, with his underwhelming lineup he has to work around. Anyway, we're going to jump to the Fab Five. We got two odd bets, two spread bets, 2 money line bets, and 1 over-under. Here we go. I get the Bears +3 underdog against the Falcons. I think the Bears are going to take that game. Their offense has been, incredible over the last 3 weeks, and the Falcons aren't an offense I'd worry about too much based off, points per game. The Bears defense is obviously terrible, but I think the Bears can simply outscore the Falcons. Broncos, I got favored 2.5. Moneyline Ravens, Moneyline Bills, and Pacers Hornets on Wednesday night over 200 or under 231.5. So those are my Fab 5 bets. Throw some money down on that sucker if you'd like to. Anyway, main event of the show, NFL Power Rankings, baby. Let's get it. Number 10, I got the Jets. Here we go. They'll stay at number 10 here. Coming off a bye week and, defeating Buffalo, fresh off the bye week, their defense has grown up so fast. And I think the main proprietor of that is Quinnen Williams, in the pass rush. And their offense plays very conservatively, almost like, a younger Titans squad, without a Derrick Henry, obviously. But their defense has grown up fast, and, the time of possession is winning them games. Robert Saleh, obvious Coach of the Year candidate, and I like them here at 10. Defeating Buffalo, their defense has grown up fast, and, I like them here. They're in a tough division, and they're making, kind of a wild card push. Number 9, Titans. I am absolutely obsessed with their defensive play. I think, watching Kansas City struggle against them was kind of, a fresh breath of air that Kansas City, for one, isn't unstoppable. And, two, that, the defense, it makes a huge difference when it comes to AFC play. This will be a huge factor in the playoffs. Their defensive play, like I said, is a glimpse at how far this team can go. We kind of saw a glimpse of that in 2019 when, they kind of had their playoff push into the AFC title game. And, I think it's back with their, built around defense, Derrick Henry running the ball 30 times a game. When you can go through a game and not convert a third down in the second half and you're still going to overtime like they did against Kansas City, I think that shows how far the potential that they have. And they're, a strong team heading into the AFC playoffs. Number 8, I got the Cowboys. I wouldn't stress too much about this one, as a Dallas fan. They're top 5 when it comes to team balance, in my opinion. Their pass rush is insane, and they have great offensive potential. I could see this trap game coming from a mile away. Aaron Rodgers, rivalry game, prime time, and unfortunately Christian Watson, wide receiver, sprouted at just the wrong time for Dallas. I think, probably 8 times out of 10 Dallas wins this game, but, it was a trap game. But they're very balanced, and I wouldn't stress too much. They just got to third down conversions are bad, but that's something that can easily be fixed. Anyway, number 7, I got the Ravens. After the bye week, the Ravens are, middle of the pack now when it comes to the AFC play. They've evolved their rushing attack due to injuries. Rashad Bateman out, Mark Andrews been out, and defense has, they've taken a big step up after allowing, a few big plays earlier on in the season. To argue they should only have 1 loss maybe, but Injuries are going to hurt them. That's why I got them at number 7. But come playoff time, I think Lamar Jackson can make a big difference in the AFC. Anyway, number 6, I got the Dolphins. Tua has skyrocketed as an MVP candidate and is undefeated playing through the whole game. 450 yards per game in the last 3 weeks. They are simply balling. What do you expect? Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They're just outscoring teams. And, the defense, let's say it's average, but their offense is incredible. They're becoming a juggernaut and like a top-tier team right now. Number 5, this is going to be kind of a surprise, but I got the Eagles here. Yes, the one loss drops them 4 spots. Yeah, because it was a bad loss, and, for good reason. They've been due for a loss, but if you look at their schedule, I need to see, it's kind of like the Vikings scenario. I need to see them take down a top-heavy juggernaut, and while they look like a contender coming out of the NFC, they need to control the ball and time of possession. They gave up 4 turnovers. The defense also can't give up 32 points against a backup quarterback like Taylor Heineke. They're very, they could definitely move right back up if they, prove that they can bounce back from this. But, 8-0, they were at number 1 for a long time, but they did not lose to the right team. Anyway, that's what I'll say there. Number 4, I got the Bills. Man, this could have been avoided by a long shot. Not only does this one hit the loss column, but it's a momentum-killing loss, in my opinion. Josh Allen's had a turnover problem over the last few games, and it has to be addressed, and they have to play 4 quarters of football. This is kind of lost right here. This one's going to sting, but if they think long-term, they'll be okay. But right now, it could have been simply avoided by a long shot. Number 3, 49ers here. Kind of a surprise here, but I love this team all around. The defense played Herbert, kind of like a fiddle. The amount of weapons Jimmy G has is uncanny, and they are a top contender in the NFC. And dare I say, the favorite, but they'll have to get past these guys. Number 2, the Vikings. This is what I've been waiting for from them, the elite juggernaut win, and they got it in the most dramatic fashion. Justin Jefferson is, kind of proven he's in a tier of his own on the wide receiver scale. Kirk Cousins, I've seen a step up from him as well, kind of making clutch plays, can we trust him late game? And, this kind of win right here is stuff that'll earn him a long-term extension. And their defense made game-changing plays, obviously, against Josh Allen. Obviously, the game-winning interception. This is exactly what the Vikings needed. It's a momentum booster, and they'll sit at number 2 here. Number 1, the Chiefs. I just simply believe the Chiefs are in their own tier. Their offensive play, Patrick Mahomes is playing at a top-tier level. Andy Reid, he's almost reached the god tier of scheming offenses at this point. Could use a little work on defense, but they could possibly win out, in my opinion. They are so good. They're the favorites in the AFC, and right now, Super Bowl-wise, I think I got the Chiefs and 49ers rematch of 2020. That is my Super Bowl prediction right now as of Week 10 or Week 11. So, yeah, that will conclude your episode today. Thank you guys for watching. This was another fun one. I'm sorry for the day late, but, it was kind of difficult writing one. I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit of a procrastinator per se. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this Thursday edition episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.